The Tuesday, September 10th meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. It's now 6:01 p.m. And we will start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have a few announcements tonight. First, the Board of Assessors, they have a vacancy on the board, and we're going to formally announce it at our next meeting in a couple of weeks. But if anybody is interested, just keep an eye on the town website for more information. We also, the Kingston Fire Department invites us to a 9/11 remembrance ceremony. We hope that you will join us in remembering those that lost their lives that day and those that served in the highest tradition of public safety. That'll be tomorrow, Wednesday, September 11th. Arrive by 8:45 a.m. The ceremony begins at 9 a.m., and it will be at the Fire Department headquarters at 105 Pembroke Street. We also have, this meeting is recorded by the local scene. Anyone intending to make an audio or video recording of this meeting should notify the chair at this time. And seeing nobody. Financial assistance applications are available on the town's website or by calling the Selectmen's office. For anyone interested in volunteering, there are several vacancies on various committees and boards. To see a complete list of the openings, please visit our website at kingstonma.gov. And please check our website for any additional events or notices at www.kingstonma.gov. Any other announcements from other members?
Just wanted to say the opening on the Board of Assessors is due to a death in that board. So I just wanted to give my condolences to the family and their friends and send my best wishes. It's an unfortunate
Absolutely.
situation.
Thank you for that.
So.
Anyone else? All right. We'll move on to open forum. Is there anyone who wanted to speak at open forum? Go ahead, Jean.
Good evening. Tonight I want to talk about the upcoming vacancies in the Superintendent of Streets, Trees, and Parks, which of course includes the Recycling and Disposal Center, and the Community Development Director. I feel this is an opportune time to evaluate and assess the best reorganization of these many services. This issue was discussed at great length by the Town Government Study Committee and the Implementation Committee, of which I was chairman. The final recommendation of this group was to create a Department of Public Works and bring all relevant departments under one administrator. We believe that this would provide greater coordination of the activities and the sharing of resources. So I'm here tonight to ask that you consider forming a task force that would determine the most effective administrative structure for providing these services. I'm recommending that the task force should include the TA, a selectman, the HR director, as well as department members with relevant knowledge, and possibly one or two residents. Their mission should be to include research into what other communities have found to be the most beneficial, as well as recommendations from the MMA. I believe a short time period, such as 2 to 3 months, should be adequate so that any major changes can be completed timely, including any changes needing town meeting approval. I would also ask that final recommendations from the 2 individuals leaving included in their exit interviews be provided to the task force for their consideration. I realize this may require new or revised position descriptions as well as reassessment of salary ranges so that we can, for once, attract the best candidates rather than whether it's in-house or out. The current elected positions not involved in policy decisions could be redesignated as appointed advisory positions. I beg you to please not leave this great opportunity on the table. We have an opportunity to fine-tune our organizational structure, and we don't want to just rush and fill it because this is the way we've always done. Let's take a step forward to improve our administrative operations for the good of the administration and the community. So I thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else who wanted to speak at open forum, either here or online? Doesn't look like it. Okay, moving on to appointments. We had started, what's that?
I think we have to go to additional items, because we listed as 6:15.
Oh, thank you for,
Sorry.
yeah, thank you.
Didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's good, thank you. Someone's paying attention.
Sorry. Sorry for anyone waiting.
Sorry, not sorry, is that what it is?
10 minutes, 10 minutes.
All right. What's that? Yeah, so we'll do additional item one, request to set the winter plow rates for contracted plow drivers. We've historically relied on contracted plow drivers to support our streets, trees, and parks employees with sanding and salting the town roads. We do have a memo from the superintendent recommending that plow rates and insurance bonus remain the same as 23-24, as well as a list of the current rates paid for the type of equipment used. Mr. Superintendent.
Mr. Chairman, as you duly noted there, I did put a statement in there and the previous plow rates. We went up quite a bit last year. I thought that the insurance bonus was a great thing to do. My foreman and myself have talked to other towns already. Nobody's committed with their new rates yet. Some of them have already stated they're going to keep them the same. I think not knowing how much more they're going to go up, I say this is a safe bet for the winter. Historically, it's usually every 2 years we look at the rates, try to adjust them. Every once in a while, we've gone 3 years. So where this would be the second rate, I think it's fiscally sound to try to keep it that way. And please, let's keep our fingers crossed that we have a winter like we've had for the last 2. Thank you.
Any questions, comments from the board? Would anyone like to make a motion?
I move the Board of Selectmen approve the winter plow rates included in the board packet and continue to offer an insurance bonus of $750 as proposed by the Streets, Trees, and Parks Superintendent this evening.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you.
Too
We'll get-
fast.
Yeah, we went too fast. I wonder if 2 is going to take a bit.
Go to 3.
Yeah, so we'll go to 3. You think we'll be able to move through that quick? All right. So, open special town meeting warrant. The board is required to open the special town meeting warrant. Opening the warrant indicates the start of the time that the town and citizen-sponsored warrant articles can be added to the special town meeting warrant. The warrant is scheduled to be closed on October 8th. Keith, do you want to lead us off on this?
Sure, this is more of a housekeeping type issue. The board approved at a previous meeting the schedule for our fall town meeting. This date was on there. The warrant will be open for just under a month. I provided to the board this evening proposed articles that I have been either I know are coming or are already here or have been submitted. Right now, we're at a count of 16, a lot of housekeeping type things. This is a very tentative list, but just wanted to give the board a sense as early as I could what may be presented at fall town meeting for the voters' consideration.
All right, any questions from the board, comments? No, motion?
I move the Board of Selectmen open the 2024 special town meeting warrant at 8 a.m. on September 11th, 2024.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. All right,
Still
we
too
went too
fast.
fast on that one. I'm not sure. Keith, do you have an idea on which one would not take us as long? Because it
So,
looks like 4 and 5 would potentially take us. a
Sure,
little
once you
bit
approve
longer.
minutes.
There we go.
I move the Board of Selectmen accept the open session meeting minutes of August 27th, 2024. I should have spoke slower.
Okay, I'm going to take a 4-minute pause before I ask for a second.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm going to abstain just because I wasn't here.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
I've got a fairly short
4-0.
Yeah, do you want to do
report if
your
you want to do that. Excuse me, the Opachinski well drilling project is finally ready to begin, should be started this week. The Main Street Water Project is progressing. The contract will be tying in the new water main to the existing water main at the northbound side of Route 3A and Route 3 overpass. Once that connection's made, installation of a new fire hydrant, which will be the last fire hydrant, will be completed. Testing of the main south of the Jones River will be conducted prior to placing that in active service. I know the contractors are not working this week because one of the water tests that had been taken from the new line had some contaminants, did not pass the water test. I'm not sure what the appropriate terms are, I apologize, but they're holding off. They'll be back next week to retest the lines to make sure the water quality is where it should be. Once that's satisfactory, they'll complete all the house service connections to the new water main. They will be improving the patch that's there on 3A now. It will be a temporary patch for the winter. They'll come in and final grade and final pave it, if that's the right terminology, Paul, next spring. Same thing I think you'll see on Eversource further down on 3A, down near Pro Limo, that general area. So the lane and the ability to travel on that lane without losing your dentures is going to be a little bit better, I think. Later this fall, it's in terrible shape now. I think everybody understands that, and apologize for the condition that it's in. The community development director, our community development director, Jason Silva, has submitted his letter of resignation effective October 11th. Jason is going back to work for the town of Plymouth in a more responsible role than what he plays here as community development director. He's done a great job in Kingston. Want to wish him the best in his opportunities. This is a good opportunity for him, and I'm happy that he's had that opportunity to jump to. We'll be having a conversation a little bit later on the agenda about how we replace that position. Our engineer, our consulting engineer, is still reviewing the Silver Lake School Zone information. I do expect that discussion to be on the September 24th agenda. And Valerie Massard and I have taped the first of 2 or 3 informational television shows to inform people and give some background on the MBTA zoning proposal. What we're going to do with our next show potentially is have a couple of guests come in. Again, not trying to sway anybody one way or another, but just try to provide factual information to the public, so when they come to fall town meeting, and that's one item, I apologize, I forgot to add on the list of warrant articles. That will be on the fall town meeting warrant for consideration, so we're just trying to provide as much information as we can so people can take advantage of getting up to speed as much as they care to. I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Any questions from the board?
No, I was just going to mention, did you want to say anything about the elementary school playground, or I can mention that?
I think everybody who has a child in the Kingston School Department probably may be aware that the Kingston Elementary School playground has been temporarily closed because it did not meet the minimum standards of the state. I know there's the school department, the school principal, I believe, has been in contact with the town to find out if there's an opportunity to potentially submit an application for community preservation funds. The community preservation director, or chairman, excuse me, has reached out to the representative who oversees the community preservation funds for the state to determine whether or not something like that would be eligible. Have not heard back from him, but our ace investigator, Trish Tucker, has done some due diligence on some past applications. The town has funded through the community preservation funds a school playground. They've also funded the playground down at Grays Beach. So I don't expect that this project would not be eligible. They have obviously some deadlines they've got to meet for the town meeting warrant. But if they want to use those funds and they want to apply, they I think certainly can do that, and they will be eligible. That would be an eligible project for them to present to the CPC board.
And just to add to that, last I heard from a school committee member, they are also looking at the company that constructed the playground to try to see if they can come up with some repairs for the meantime, because CPC funding takes some time. So I know they're trying to pursue other avenues as well. Just want to mention that. Thank you.
All right, we've reached our time. This is good timing. So we're going to go to our appointment at 6:15, and this is the public hearing, the petition from Verizon New England and NStar Electric, doing business as Eversource Energy, proposing to place new facilities on Atwood Street and Spruce Street. Do we need to read the public hearing notice since we already opened it? Okay. So would anybody like to make a motion to continue, or to reopen? Is
I
that right?
move to reopen the public hearing.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are open. So, last meeting, we had some questions. Is there anybody here who wanted to speak about this? Do we have anybody from?
We do have
Eversource.
the developer here, but I'm not sure if we.
Paul, I don't know if you want to speak
Paul
to
was the one
his
that had the
concerns.
questions.
Yeah, so Paul, did you want to go to the podium and ask any of your questions?
No, Eversource reached out to us, I think Monday, Trish, was it Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah.
They addressed my concerns with the placement of the handle when it comes to snow plowing. So Eversource came back with a new plan that puts that handhold behind the pole and off from the office, it's not Cedar, it's Spruce Street. So anybody plowing that, where that house is not gonna hit that handhold. That was the only issue I had,
Okay.
so it was addressed.
All right, any other questions from the board?
The questions I had were related to the impact on the neighbors.
Yep.
So the last time we had a public hearing about a handhole, there were some very unhappy neighbors who had their yards torn up, and they asked that we at least ask the question about that.
So I'm
before
not
we
sure,
proceed.
and Paul probably knows this better than I'm not sure if you're talking about the same ones, that handhold, I believe, and Paul can correct me if I'm wrong, was in the public right-of-way.
Yes.
And while,
That's not the property I'm talking about, though.
okay,
Well, the impact was, they installed a conduit on the edge of the roadway, and they might have killed a tree or two.
Right, so with respect to this particular public hearing, I just want to make sure that we are cognizant when we're working with them of the neighbors and
Yeah.
the potential impacted properties. And I know that there's a person here who
Right,
can maybe
this-
speak to where the work will take place, but,
Where Spruce Street, this section of Spruce Street's a paper road. It's not gonna hug around somebody else's property. It's going straight down under the paper street to the new construction, so it won't be bypassing somebody else's way to get to there.
perfect,
So I did listen to that from the last time, so it's stuff we
Thank you.
learned.
okay.
But this
Thank you.
one's a little different. Like I said, Eversource submitted us a plan on, I think Monday, Trish said, and that addressed my concerns, and hopefully that addresses any of the neighbors' concerns.
Okay.
All right, any other questions, comments? No?
I move the Board of Selectmen close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any other motions?
Thank you.
I move the Board of Selectmen approve the request from NStar Electric Company doing business as Eversource Energy to locate underground cables, conduits, manholes, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures in under, along, and across the following public ways. Install one new handhole, 16 H5, and 58 feet plus or minus of PVC conduit to customer-installed handhole on Atwood Street and Spruce Street on the back side of the pole area to prevent any plow damage.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
That was unanimous. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, as we're,
Can we add to a future agenda update from Eversource? I'd love to hear from them about, not tonight, but I'd love to hear from them about the library and the double poles on Main Street and the other things, if we could at some point.
I agree. Okay. All right, we're going to go to additional item number 2, discussion and possible vote on installing Town of Kingston signs on town property. Keith, would you like to take it away?
thank you. Our facilities manager and our planning director have been working together to develop and present to the Board of Selectmen, and they've already presented to the planning board, basically welcome to Kingston signs that they would place on streets that come from one of the community into another. And what you have in your board packet tonight, and I don't know if Selectman Alcombright can grab those pictures and put them up on the screen. Thank you. We're proposing to install signs, one sign like this. And Rob Cuoco is our facilities manager. He's here tonight and can probably speak to it better than I. We're asking that, from the board's permission to install a sign. This sign would go down near the McDonald's in front of the Big Y Plaza. There's kind of a screenshot of what it would look like. We're hoping that the garden club can work with us and potentially put some beautiful mums like that around the sign and place some other flowers there during the season. What we're hoping to do is, again, just try to kind of brand Kingston, welcome people to Kingston, have people be aware that they're coming into Kingston. You see a lot of other communities have these types of signs. And we think it's going to just try to enhance the overall perception of the community. There's also some smaller signs that we'd like to put up in some of the roads that may not be quite as traveled, but by coming into Kingston, again, at the line. This sign location is on Enterprise. Again, it's a smaller looking sign, but does identify the town of Kingston. It's on, all of these signs have been reviewed by Streets, Trees, and Parks as far as location goes, and concerns about possible damage for plowing and things of that nature. The locations have been blessed by our Streets, Trees, and Parks superintendent. This has been presented to the planning board. They seem to be, they are very supportive of this as well. This project will be an ongoing type of a project. We have funding now to place one large sign, like you saw in front of the McDonald's area, then two of these smaller signs. Now we'll probably be applying for some grant funds in the future to supplement the three signs that you have in front of you this evening. But before, this is on Loring Street, for example, and so before we go ahead and place the orders and keep this moving, I thought it was appropriate to bring it to the Board of Selectmen to have your review and potential approval of this, so everybody's on the same page and there are no surprises moving forward. So if you have any questions, Rob, again, I give all the credit to Rob and Valerie. They've worked hard at identifying the look of the feel, the colors, schemes. They've gone through a number of different options, and like I said, they brought it to the planning board, got their opinions, and have incorporated those into what you have in front of you this evening. So what I'm asking the board for, if you're comfortable, is an approval to have these three signs installed, at the locations that are proposed this evening, and be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Would you take a comment from the audience on this?
Sure.
Can I ask a question while she gets up there?
Yeah.
Is that contingent upon funding?
We have the funding now for the three signs to put in.
Okay, and then ongoing would be-
Moving forward, we'd be looking for grant funds, things of that nature to fund the installation of additional signs.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Is it safe to assume that the maintenance responsibilities would fall within the facilities department?
They'd fall certainly within the town, whether it be maintenance or whether it be facilities. It'd probably be a combination of facilities and streets, trees, and parks, depending on what type of maintenance has to occur.
Thank you.
Okay. Jean Landis, Nauman, 84 Wolf Pond Road. I should have said that before. Keith, I don't know if you remember, when you first arrived, I pointed out to you that I had residents asking me where the town hall was.
Mm-hmm.
And I had suggested possibly a sign at the end of Evergreen that said, town hall, police, or highway, animal control, council on aging. So I would just remind you that
I'm glad-
that could be a possibility too.
Yes, thank you. I mean, one of the thought is, as we work our way forward, the the look and feel of these signs would be consistent from in town signs. So whether it be directional signs like you're suggesting at the end of Evergreen to direct people to the town office building or to the senior center, things of that nature. We'll look at trying to do those types of things, and when we install signs for other buildings, when that becomes appropriate, like one of the ones we're looking at potentially with there's rot, I guess, and some age that's taking its toll on the Kingston Townhouse sign that's on the roof of this building. We may look to potentially try to bring segments of what's been proposed in the design of this into that as well, while keeping more of the antique feel as well. So I appreciate you're considering that. We are looking at some directional signs as well to make people more aware of where some of these buildings are, and when they see a sign with that look and feel, they'll know it's a town sign and know where to go for whatever's in that particular area.
Oh, I bring it up now because sometimes there's an economy in ordering more signs rather than one at a time, so.
If the Affordable Housing Committee wants to donate money to the town, that would
You'd
make
have
it.
to ask the CPC, because all our money comes from the CPC.
Right.
Yeah, but thank you. Thank you,
Right.
Chairman.
I think these look great. I love the idea of having a sign like this for our town. Definitely gives it a sense of community, I think. Any other questions, comments, concerns from the board?
Maybe like a town song, so when you're coming in, like to Santa's Village, you have we can pick a nice song for the Paul's looking at me like, please don't. That was a joke, just coming from Santa's Village, that's what, you drive through and get a nice song to kind of warm your,
Christmas
welcome to
music at all
Kingston,
times.
it's the best place.
Norman Rockwell.
I move the Board of Selectmen approve the design and recommended locations of the Welcome to Kingston signs.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's unanimous.
You didn't
All right.
ask for a motion, but it sounded like you might need one.
It was read.
Thank you.
That's good. All right, so moving on to number 4, discussion of replacement of the Community Development Director. Keith, do you want to take away?
Sure, thank you. Included in your board packet is a memo that I drafted that addresses the Community Development Director and the Streets and Parks Superintendent. First on the agenda is the Community Development Director. As I mentioned in my report, Jason Silva has resigned his position as Community Development Director. There's been some discussion over the last week and a half or so amongst staff, including Jason, about best steps moving forward. I know that Gene brought up, the importance of reviewing openings when we have them and making some determinations about how to best move forward. The building inspector, building commissioner position was upgraded to a community development director position, I want to say in fiscal '22, thinking that there'd be an opportunity to collaborate internally more effectively when an individual's coming into our land use departments, whether it be for a building permit, a subdivision, things of that nature. And I think we've had some limited success with that occurring. Unfortunately, in the situation that we're in right now, where permit activity is negligible because of some of the challenges that we're facing with our infrastructure. In talking about it with our town planner, with the conservation agent, with Jason himself, Tina and others, it's my recommendation that we go back to a what we're calling building commissioner / zoning administrator. Tina and I did have the opportunity to meet with Wage and Personnel, who was kind enough to have a meeting a week or so ahead of schedule tonight. They have reviewed what's been proposed and support the recommendation of the placement in a grade 11, so there will be, and again, this isn't why we're doing it, but there is an opportunity to save a little bit of money. Right now, frankly, there just is not the activity amount of work that really would provide a benefit of having one person overseeing all the land use departments. So I'd ask the board if they would, before we advertise, I wanted to have this conversation with the board. We've gotten Wage and Personnel's approval. What would happen moving forward if the board was in agreement with a building commissioner would be the Wage and Personnel bylaw would go to the fall town meeting. With that change and potentially, I'm not sure if they have any others, we could start the advertising for this position and the recruitment for this position with the expectation that the fall town meeting will approve the Wage and Personnel bylaw. We've spoken, Tina and I spoke to our part-time building inspector, who is also a building commissioner, who is now working 3 days a week, 3 mornings a week. He is willing to continue that. He's willing to expand that within reason for a limited amount of time, which will allow the town to hire, go through the hiring process, go through the fall town meeting, and potentially offer a candidate the position. I just want to point out real quick, if I could, one last thing. Each community in the state of Massachusetts has to have a building commissioner. That to become a building commissioner, there's a series of training opportunities that have to occur, as well as a test that has to be taken and passed to be determined a building commissioner. Jason Silva and Paul Armstrong are both building commissioners, so they are the ones that have the authority to sign building permits. A building inspector has less authority and does not have the authority, in this case anyways, to sign a building permit. So continuity-wise, we'll be fine. With the slowdown in building activity, I think having a part-time person who's willing to jump in a little more when needed will provide us the amount of service that we need. I think everybody knows Mr. Armstrong, and he's always been willing to step up and help out in any way he can, so I'm sure that will continue. And hopefully shortly after town meeting, we would have a recommendation to the board of hiring a building inspector.
All right, so why don't we open it up to questions from the board? Any questions, comments? Would someone like to make a motion?
I move the Board of Selectmen support the recommendation of the town administrator to present a building commissioner job description with recommended wage range to the Wage and Personnel Committee for consideration and presentation at the November special town meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. All right, thank you. So moving on to number 5, very similar. We're going to be discussing the qualification of the superintendent of streets, trees, and parks position. Keith, over to you.
Thank you. So, again, with the impending retirement of Mr. Paul Basler, November 1st, there's an opening for a streets, and parks superintendent. And like we do with all of the positions, especially department heads, we'll review and discuss internally and bring forward to Wage and Personnel to the Board of Selectmen if we are recommending any potential changes or at least suggestions to be studied. I thought it was appropriate to bring forward to the Board of Selectmen the question, does the Board of Selectmen have any interest at all in exploring or investigating expanding or modifying the role of the streets, trees, and parks superintendent to something more of a public works director or something of the like. The difference between this position and the building inspector position is I think we've got some time to study this a little bit, because I think there are some options as to the roles that all of the people or all of the committees that are in place now would have moving forward. We have a foreman in streets, trees, and parks that is willing to, on an interim basis, step up and be the interim superintendent. Sean has done a great job. He has the support, I know, of the staff at Streets, Trees, and Parks. He'll be He will be helped in any way he can be by his fellow department heads and I'm sure he'll be successful as the interim, whether it be for 2 months or 7 or 8 months. I think he's got the recommendation of Mr. Basler. We've spoken to Sean, who's willing to step up and take on this additional responsibility. So it would give the Board of Selectmen, the water commissioners, the sewer commissioners, and any other interested parties the opportunity to work together to look at the different options that might be available to determine whether or not they would recommend a change be made and brought forward at the Springtown meeting. In speaking to Wage and Personnel tonight, their deadlines for presenting changes to the Wage and Personnel bylaw they haven't got an exact date, but it's sometime mid-January is what they talked about tonight. I'll have an exact date moving forward. But again, that gives the board and all the interested parties an opportunity for the next 3-4 months to decide whether it makes any sense to make any change. And you may determine at the end of the discussions that this is perfect the way it is. The only suggestion that I think was talked about at the department head meeting for a change, whatever happens, is maybe moving to a highway department, if nothing else, rather than streets, trees, and parks, and just renaming it. But that is obviously secondary to what's being discussed tonight. So again, from my point of view, I guess if the board is interested in pursuing this, at least studying it, you've got 2, 3, 4 months to do that. If there's no interest, that's fine. We'll advertise for the streets, trees, and parks superintendent later this week or early next. But like I said earlier, you've got some time, unlike the community development director / building inspector, to decide whether or not you want to present something to the town meeting that would modify wage and personnel and a variety of other bylaws that could be impacted depending on how you want to proceed.
All right, so why don't we open it up to discussion? Any thoughts, comments, questions from anybody?
I think.
I mean, I'm full, no.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, I'm fully on board. We at least need to look into it. So I think I'm fully on board with that process.
Yeah, I think taking some time, having Sean as a capable intern is huge, and then taking some time to be able to study it, look at it, makes a lot of sense.
Do we want to create, is there any appetite for creating a committee to look at this, or is this something that we're going to assign some people and have some meetings and discuss this?
I would like to know what the other people involved have. I would like to know their opinion on it, so
Right.
I don't know if that's a
conversation.
task force or if it's just a
Right.
conversation, but
Yeah.
I think it's important for me to know what they want to do.
So let me ask the question, would we be better off officially calling something to, calling a committee together with a makeup similar to what Jean had proposed earlier? Or would you rather keep it informal and just have meetings amongst department heads, the various boards and
No,
committees?
I think it should be more formal. If you did a subcommittee like that, I think it might be easier for that group to be able to meet without having to get 5 board members, potentially 3 sewer commissioners, or 2 sewer commissioners, 2 or 3 water commissioners, and whoever else
So what
wants
is
to
the
attend.
mechanism? Would we create a subcommittee? Is that what we were doing?
Yeah, you could create a subcommittee,
A working group, task force.
yeah, a working group.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And Elaine,
If I may?
please.
I have questions too about the interim piece of this.
Elaine Fiore, Sewer Commissioner. I just like whatever you do going forward, what's the goal? To have a discussion with 3, 4 different entities is fine, but what's the goal? Is the goal to save money? Is the goal to have an engineer on board? What's the vision to be looking into this?
Mr. Chair.
Rather than just looking to
Right,
put 3
and I-
departments together, what's the goal?
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
I guess the charge I would give the committee if I had a vote would be to determine what is in the best interest of the residents of the town of Kingston.
Right.
but there needs to be, that's a statement, but what's the goal?
The goal is to present an organizational chart that best suits the needs of this community.
I would agree.
And that
bring
may be
forth to
exact,
town
and that may be
Right.
exactly what it is today, and it may be
Right.
something completely different.
So I think I'm just looking at it being a detailed person. Is it to, again, to have one person in charge of, I mean, what's the goal? Is it to,
I think that's what we need to talk to all the players involved. I don't think, I can't say
So-
what the goal is. I agree with what Keith said.
This is night one. This
Yeah.
is, this
no, I
is-
understand that.
Yeah, this is at night one, so I mean, this is the first time our board's ever discussed it.
Right.
This is the first time in a long time the town in an official capacity has discussed it, so I think the goal will be determined. I mean, I think the goal is always efficiency, streamlined, making sure things are running properly. But it might stay the same, it might change a little bit, it might
Right.
change a lot.
And I don't
I
think-
have no capacity to sit here and say what my goal is without knowing the players in the game that want to, what their needs are in each capacity, and then looking at it all on
Right.
like a chessboard and seeing what's there. I mean, the goal is always to better the town. If that means staying the
Right.
same, we stay the same. But I think the best way to do is to study it and look at it.
But I wouldn't say saving money is it would be a goal
The
because,
goal of the task force, though,
right.
would be to study and provide a recommendation to town meeting on what we believe is the best organizational structure
Right.
for said departments.
Yeah, in simple ways, I would think of, looking at similar town sizes to ours, how they've run, are they, if they're structured like us, how efficient has it been? If they've jumped from our sized town or similar sized town to a DPW style, like how has that affected their efficiency? I think being able to talk to other towns and, in the Commonwealth to be able to determine that is probably useful data. I'd like to hear from some of those towns that have transitioned and what's been good, what's been bad. I mean,
And I
similar
think
to other,
that's true internally, too.
yeah,
What's working and what isn't working,
I mean,
right?
This is not new. I mean, there's several communities, obviously, that have separate water and sewer departments, and there are several communities that have a public works department. So we're not trying to recreate the wheel. I think what we're trying to do is look at what the good and the bads are for those, apply those to the town of Kingston, and determine what makes the most sense moving forward. I don't know what that is.
It might just be staying the same.
It may just be staying the same. And again, I think we've got to not only make a recommendation, but also have the basis for that recommendation and
Right.
present it to town meeting if it gets that far, if there are changes, and see what town meeting's appetite for those changes are.
and unlike other times, we have an ability to do that without shaking the tree because of having an interim, with Sean as intern, we have an ability to do that because water's gonna run the same, sewer's gonna run, nothing changes in the time being, other than it gives time for all the committees, boards, and commissions to come together and try to solve a problem that maybe isn't a problem.
Okay, I just wanted to know if there was a goal, and apparently not. It's just,
I think we were pretty
see
clear
where
about the
it-
goal, actually, Elaine,
what, put together.
to study and provide a recommendation.
Oh, well,
That
I'm,
is the
like I
goal of the
said,
task force.
like I said, I'm more into the detail. What's the overarching, so, no, that's fine.
I don't know that we can be clearer, but
So-
it's pretty clear to me.
What, do we want to actually make up the format and who would be the members of this working group?
I think that, well, the motion that is before us for consideration, obviously, we can adjust it, but it's talking about exploring available options. I think if we want to appoint a task force, I want to think about that a little bit more than
Okay.
just
Same.
tonight.
Yeah,
For the interim position, I guess my question is related to, we have two full-time jobs right now, being done by two full-time people, and we're asking one person to do both. So how would we backfill the
Sure.
foreman role?
So Paul, Tina, and I met, and we met with Sean on 2 or 3 occasions as well. And Paul, if I miss anything, please fill in the blanks. But we've met with Sean. Obviously, our goal is to have Sean succeed, and one of the challenges he's going to face in the wintertime will be during winter operations, snow plowing operations. One of the things that Paul does as the Streets, Trees, and Parks Superintendent is he will travel the roads to determine if there's an area that needs more attention, where he can shift some of his assets around to address those needs. Where Sean, or the foreman position, is back at the Streets, Trees, and Parks building, clearing the parking lot at the town office building, talking to some of the plow drivers, I believe filling the trucks when they come back for sand and salt, things of that nature. There's a lot of moving parts right now with Streets, Trees, and Parks. We have an impending retirement of the mechanic that we will advertise. We have internal candidates that have the qualifications to be the mechanic, that have shared their interest in pursuing that position. What we would look to try to do is to, in the mechanic position, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, is a supervisory position. So that mechanic comes in during a winter storm to assist if a vehicle does break down. So they will be there, so they can be there if a vehicle does not need any type of a emergency repair. They can be there to work the radios, to assist and reallocate resources, to plow the parking lots, things of that nature. Will it be as ideal as it is today with Paul and having, like you said, 2 full-time people doing 2 full-time jobs? Maybe not, but I think that the average citizen won't notice a difference in how their roads are maintained in the wintertime if we do need to go out and maintain those. So it's going to be a little bit of a group effort, frankly, with trying to address the needs of the department until a decision is made and the position of department head is filled. Sean, like Paul Armstrong, is willing to step up. He does not want to he's not going to apply for the position. He has personal circumstances that he would prefer not to have the level of responsibility that that position currently has, but is willing to step up in the interim and do whatever he can to keep that department afloat while the study is done, if that's where you decide to go,
Okay.
and the position's filled.
All right. Does that answer your question?
Yes,
All right,
thank you.
any other questions, comments?
I move the Board of Selectmen appoint Sean Turner as interim Streets, Trees, and Parks Superintendent beginning November 2nd, 2024, while the Selectmen explore available options and the responsibilities and job title of the current Streets, Trees, and Parks Superintendent position.
Second?
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's unanimous. And that is it. We've already done the town administrator report. We'll move on to selectmen comments. Tyler, do you have anything? Kim?
I think I've made all my comments.
Excellent. Don? No? Missy? All right, I have nothing either. Our next, so what are we doing for our next meeting?
It's up to the board. You know, I've mentioned where I am and whatnot, and you know, we could potentially bring back a recommendation for a working group, if that's the right terminology.
Okay.
Study committee, whatever you want to call it, for this public works position, at our next meeting, whatever that would be. I just wanted to raise it, so if the board wanted to make modify your schedule, you could do that. If you don't, I'm absolutely fine with that as well.
I don't think we should do it next week. I think there are some other things that are going to be on that agenda that needs more time. So I would push it, we could either have the meeting in 2 weeks, or we could push it off another week, right? So that would be 3 weeks?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So any,
Hold on, 3 weeks.
Because he's,
Oh, so we are gonna,
I mean, I'm fine with the 24th or the off week, it doesn't matter to me. I'm good, I mean,
So
it
the-
really depends on what's on the agenda and whether you feel comfortable running
So
the meeting kind of without.
From what I'm,
being here.
you know, from what I've shared, what I am aware of on the agenda now, what comes up in the next week and a half, I can't tell you.
Right.
I don't know there's gonna be anything that's pressing, but that could change in 10 minutes.
right? So, I mean, we could leave it alone and say we're going to meet on the 24th. If we have to make a change, we can make a change at a later date.
It
So,
works.
all right, so we'll do that. So, our next regular meeting is September 24th, 2024. And with that, I would take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you and good night.